want me to start talking?
Yeah, just start as soon as he stops talking.
Okay.
Welcome to Blamestorming. Blamestorming. In a post-truth world, there's plenty of blame to go around. 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 Join Dave Cyrus and Marissa Smith as they blamestorm about today's hot topics.
Hey guys, welcome to Blamestorming. I'm Marissa Smith. As always, I've got Dave Cyrus with me.
Yeah.
And we've got Mo Vita with us.
Hello.
Mo Vita. Now, what's your real name?
Monica Vita.
Okay. Not trying to be accusatory. Just it's too short to be a full name. That's all.
I think when I first met you, you were going by Monica, and then like a couple years in, then everyone started calling you Mo, and I'm like, okay, I guess she's Mo
Well, you know
now.
what happened? It's funny. Mo is one of many nicknames that I have, and I think on Facebook I had my full name, and then people were finding me, and work and comedy were kind of colliding.
Yeah.
And I changed my Facebook to Mo Vita. And it was hilarious because then all of a sudden people who'd known me for years started calling me Mo. And I was like, well, you know, you can still call me what you call me. And it's funny because so I moved back to Denver, and everybody there in the comedy scene knows me as Mo.
Right.
And a friend of mine from here, a comic, came out to visit me, and we were at a club. And he said, "Hey, Monica." And this guy just, like, it blew his mind. "What? Your name is Monica?" You know, and I was just like, calm down. Like, get a life. It's not that interesting.
Not only ask because it's funny because growing up, due to the shape of my penis, people called me Curly.
Not Shep.
Yeah, people change their names a lot in comedy, though, just because, you know, we're just desperate to find.
I mean, I really didn't change it. It's just I'm using a nickname instead of my full name.
I mean, it's a little,
because the
it's a
other
little
nickname
change.
is Mon, which a lot of people, not a lot, but people actually call me Mon. But it sounds too much like mom.
But you can't be introduced as Mon Vita. That would just sound weird.
I honestly just didn't even think about it. I really didn't. I just changed it on Facebook, and people change their names all the time and change on Twitter, their, I guess not their handle.
It would be like if you called if you'd be like, everyone calls me Hun, so that's my name on Facebook now.
Yeah.
I'm just Hun.
I'm actually Hungarian, so you can actually call me a Hun, and you'll be correct.
She's
Nice.
like a Mo or a Hun. You got it right either way.
Was Hungary founded by the Huns?
Yes. Well, yeah.
That's where the name comes from, right?
The tribe, yeah.
It was from
There
the
were
Hun.
like, I think, 7 tribes that came out of Mongolia.
Is Hungary considered part of the steppe?
I don't know.
Are you familiar with the steppe, Marissa? The steppe is what they call the giant swath of that covers much of Asia and Eastern Europe. That was once an ocean bed. So it's all flat, and that's where all the horses were. So the Huns, the Mongolians, all the horse tribes, all the nomadic tribes come from the steppe.
Probably.
Right.
I'm
going
guessing,
back to the
yes.
Assyrians.
Right.
Yeah. Mongolia is, hence the cheeks, I think. I don't know. I'm not doing a DNA test. I really wanted to do a DNA test for a long time.
You come from horse people, Mo.
I know.
You come from horse people.
Well, that's why like a large percentage of
I would love it if I had a little bit of horse in me.
A large percentage of like the global population is still related to Genghis Khan.
Yep. Genghis Khan had a lot of quote unquote wives.
But like, isn't DNA like trait only like shown in men though? Because like I for some reason I thought that only males could show the Khan trait.
Why?
Well, there's also a birthmark that tends to come from it as well. That can recognize it, but I don't know if that's
Are you being
true.
serious?
Yeah, there's a specific sort of light green birthmark that a lot of people have. I've dated someone with it, and they say that's called the mark of the Khan.
Oh my God, I'm learning so much.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's what the show is for. I mean, not really, but now here's the thing: we did tease last week that we would talk about the murder at the synagogue. Yes, I don't want to disappoint our fans.
Now, what's the difference between a temple and a synagogue?
There's none. It's just different words.
Okay. I was just curious.
A temple is a...
I didn't know if it was like size, like cathedral and church is usually size.
A temple, a lot of things count as a temple. I mean, churches are temples.
Like my body.
Yes.
No, but I mean like in Jewish religions.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, I think a temple is just a generic term, an overall term, and a synagogue is a word that we made up because as an inside joke about the fact that we're all evil. So we called it a sin. And then Gog.
Just so you know, people, Dave is Jewish.
They can tell.
Just just so you know.
They know. No one hears my voice for more than 30 seconds and thinks that guy went to Catholic school.
You're gonna be like, this Jew is so anti-Semitic.
I mean, no, most Jews are. We really are a self-hating people. No, this and it happened right after the pipe bomber guy was identified.
But it also
right?
happened after a white gunman had murdered 2 black people in a grocery store as well, and specifically told a white customer like whites
we don't kill each other.
Yeah,
whites don't kill whites. Yeah, we have
a
wave of
so
white.
it was the pipe bomb, then it was the grocery store racial shooting, and then it was the Jewish temple murder.
Best country on earth, guys.
Yeah, and here's one of the things that's so offensive about the aftermath of the temple shooting was the fact that the right wing decided to call this anti-religious violence.
Ooh.
Are there a lot of? I mean,
is it the
But
right, or was that just Kellyanne Conway?
No, that's what they're doing right now.
More than just Kellyanne.
They're taking situations like, for example, the Kavanaugh situation, and now they're turning it around to make it that white men are victims.
Right, religion is the victim.
And now religion is the victim, right? Because now the rhetoric is that, oh, well, people are coming against Christians. We're good Christians, and we're being attacked. And how come, you can't say Merry Christmas anymore? And so this feeds beautifully.
Well, these are people who are constantly trying to convince people that Christians are being attacked when it's not happening. They just need you to be afraid.
There's a lot of lions out there with a Christian's name.
Well, that's the thing. When was the last time that people were murdered for being a religion other than Jewish in America? Because, I mean, the church shootings, those were mostly racists. Those were people who went to black churches because they wanted to find a place with black people in them. Mm-hmm. That was not someone saying, I want to kill Christians. It's just not a problem we seem to have in this country of people trying to massacre people because they're Christian. It's either because they're Muslim or because they're Jewish in this country. Those are the two religions that have that specific kind of violence against them. I mean, like I said, you can say there are church shootings, but those were not for the purpose of because you're Christians. Now, this church, this synagogue, it was something he hated for a very specific reason.
Right.
I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Highest?
It's related to because they were, exactly. They were pro-refugee, and they did a service that was in respect to refugees. And there's an old phrase, and this is an organization that was founded to help Jewish refugees. And they have a phrase where they say, we used to help refugees who were Jewish. Now we help refugees because we're Jewish.
Right.
As in, now that Jews have a little bit less to worry about, it is our responsibility to start to help other people who are less acclimated to American society than we are, like Syrians. Mm-hmm. And this guy believed, and this is something that a lot of people have been talking about that even we were unaware of, when they were chanting, Jews will not replace us in Charlottesville.
Right.
Do you know what they actually were referring to? Are you familiar with the act? We all assumed it was such a simplistic, us not Jews, right? That's not what they meant at all. They were referring to a specific right-wing conspiracy that gets pushed on these conspiracy sites, that the Jews are opening the borders in order to enslave white people and use the brown and black people as their muscle to do so. And so they believe that the caravan is being funded by Jews.
Soros.
Well, same thing. Same thing. Soros or the Jews is the same thing. It's simply a word that makes you look less bad, but you mean the same thing. And so they're saying the Jews are paying for the caravan because they want the caravan to come here and then be there and be the Jewish soldiers, because the Jews are physically weak but mentally superior to these people, and the Hispanics are the opposite. They're physically, like monsters to them who can't think straight and need Jews tell them what to do. These people live in an unbelievably simplistic world where, the only people who aren't evil are the, white Trump supporter.
The thing that I think is so mind-boggling is that for a group of people that think that they are genetically superior, that they have such inferiority complexes. It's like, oh, so like the Jews are smarter than white people so that they can go and orchestrate like taking over the government and the country, and then the people of color are so much stronger and bigger, and then they're going to be the muscle. It's like, well, you're the superior race allegedly, so then shouldn't you all be the smartest and the strongest? Like,
well, yeah,
isn't that what superiority is?
They need to believe that, but the evidence is not there because they look around in the world and they see athletes who are black, and they have that much of a resentment that they look at a black athlete and they say, look what he's doing to me. Look at him compared to me. That's why he's a bad person, because I can't jump as high as him and I need to figure out a way that he's wrong. And then they look at a Jewish person and they say, how does that person have more money than me? This is a Christian nation. What are they secretly doing to explain why they're doing better than me?
What are they doing, Dave?
Jews? You know what we're doing? We are providing you with over 100 years of entertainment. That's what the Jews did. All the time people talk about, oh, the Jews run Hollywood. The Jews are doing this. Hey, how about, hey, Jews, thanks for all those Iron Eagle movies. They were great. How about just once you say, hey, how about we thank these hilarious Jews who have filled us with laughter for all these years, giving us all these TV shows and movies for... Like, how is the fact that we make movies an evil thing? We don't have that many skills. We are providing the service that we're able to. We can't work in the steel mills.
You're telling us how to think with your tricky ways. Aren't stereotypes fun? They're so cool.
You waka waka.
They're fantastic.
Anyway.
Do you think people know I'm being sarcastic?
It's just the fact that, like,
say that.
I think you can. I think you can. You're fine. I think you're fine.
It's just
we've established you're Hungarian. They're kind of fascist now, so.
We're all garbage. I keep saying that. We can't have nice things. We ruin everything. I'm really, I'm a very positive person.
See, the thing about me is that, like, when I literally think about it, I'm like, all these people who talk about getting the Jews out of the media, I'm like, don't you understand how many moments of happiness you've gotten from a Jew in the media? Every one of these guys, every one of them, sit me down with them. I will find a fucking movie that was made mostly by Jews that they loved.
Seinfeld. Look at Seinfeld.
Even the ones that hate Jews. No, even the ones who will look at Seinfeld and say, I would never watch Jewish TV. Trust
Steve
me.
Bannon was involved
Trust
with that.
me.
He's not a fan of Jews.
Yeah, I will find something you love. It's like Duck Dynasty. People watch Duck Dynasty and they think that it's like these hard right values. And I'm like, just out of the camera's view. Feeding him lines. Everything, honey. People are like...
I love how he's like 8. There were 8.
Honey Boo Boo, people would talk about, she's like a philosopher. I'm like, no, she's being fed lines by a guy with a degree in fucking philosophy. These people are not making up anything they say. It's a fucking game.
But it's reality TV.
And they like reality TV better than scripted TV because they think scripted TV is dumb. Oh, it's fake. No, you're so stupid. You actually believe you're watching reality when you're watching TV that exists for people who the fucking Big Bang Theory is too smart for.
If you call it news, then it is news.
Here's the thing, though. The news is the news. The news is not lying that much.
Do you feel like Fox News is the news?
No, Fox News isn't really news.
But they're called the news, so
Fox
they're
News exists to be a counterbalance to reality.
But they call themselves the news, so it must be true.
So does InfoWars. So does whatever website Jacob Wool was putting out. These far-right conspiracy people, they're so obsessed with lying constantly simply because they think they live in an unfair world. It's all emotion. It's the idea that I want to emotionally win and I think that I deserve to cheat when you don't. And I don't know, man. Going back to this Jacob Wool situation, the guy who was paying women to say that Robert Mueller raped him. First of all, guess what? If Robert Mueller raped someone, Donald Trump is still guilty of collusion and obstruction. So I don't know what you think you were going to do.
I don't know how that man is still alive.
Trump?
No.
Mueller?
Yeah.
Oh.
How is somebody not? How has he
probably
not had an accident? You know what I'm saying?
He's probably has so much security. He's probably living in a
But
safe
people
house.
can get paid
I don't
off.
know. Robert Mueller, though.
People can get paid off.
Yeah, there's only so much money. We're talking about Robert Mueller, ex-head of the FBI.
Yeah.
If anybody knows how to protect him, this is not the first time people have wanted to kill him, I'm sure.
No.
This is a guy who he took down the mafia.
Yeah.
So Robert Mueller, I trust to know what he's doing in that respect, and because I think Trump knows that murdering him would not help him at all. Murdering Robert Mueller would fuck Trump real bad. Almost so much, I'm afraid a lunatic on the left might do it because of how good it would make things look for us. Because, false flags are something that we worry about, even though they mostly happen from the right. The right constantly talks about the left doing it, and it's just never been proven. It's never happened. Mm-hmm. A real, high-level false flag like they keep pretending is there because these people live in a fantasy world, and they think that everything is fake on TV. They think everything in the reality is fake. So that's why they lie all the time, because they're trying to bridge the gap between the reality they think is real and the one that they see with their own eyes that they have to tell themselves is fake. I saw someone recently in Texas get interviewed and actually say, I don't believe any of the things the media says Trump said.
But he's saying them.
But right.
There's video.
Like, when was the last time that the media almost never says Trump said something that
he
doesn't
didn't
have video
say.
of it?
Yeah, or that he tweeted himself.
Every few months we'll hear someone say, oh, it's been reported he said blank. But that's not what people are asking about. That's not what people are judging him about. They're judging by the things he tweets and says. And if they're willing to say, I don't believe that, they're basically admitting, I refuse to be in reality.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I wish they would just say that, Like, I've had that conversation with friends. I mean, just say that you support Trump blindly. Just say that instead of sitting there trying to argue points when, there's actual footage and there is no proof of other things. Just stop. Just, I'd rather we respect each other enough as people and intelligent people where you can just be like, no, I want to support him blindly.
Trump recently tweeted that the country added 250,000 jobs in October. That's a very good number. It's a very good jobs number. And he's talking about how great that is. So I just looked up what the previous jobs numbers were. October 2016 was a fairly low number because it was an election. Right. That's going to have a lot of effect, I assume, on jobs numbers, especially because it was a very tumultuous time. Trump was doing well. The idea that he was going to win could hurt things in general. But I saw what was the last neutral October? Mm-hmm. Was 2015?
Right.
271,000 jobs, more than Trump.
Right.
So, and people mention that, and people respond with fake because they're cowards.
Well, even when
they can look it up themselves.
They
just call it fake.
Oh,
yeah.
No, we're lazy. See, we're going back.
No, it's not lazy. It's not lazy.
They don't want to
They
know.
choose
don't
to
wanna-
lie.
yeah.
They're choosing to lie.
But even when they're talking about salaries have increased 3.71%, but everything else has increased also. Groceries have increased.
When you look at what the
gas
inflation-
increases.
Also, actually,
Wage growth has gone down under Trump compared to Obama, as has job numbers overall.
Right.
Numbers of new jobs have gone down. Obama's last 2 years were still better than Trump's first 2 years.
Right.
So I'm also noticing fake inflation. So, in the past, it's been actual inflation where prices go up. And now what I've noticed over the last several years is maybe prices haven't risen, but we're getting a lot less product.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's this false sense of oh, well, inflation's low. And in fact, it is not.
Right.
Because our money isn't going as far.
Because a lot of that comes with packaging. So let's say, for instance, if maybe 10 years ago, if you bought a jar of peanut butter, it might have have been 12 ounces of peanut butter for, let's say, $4.99. Now you're actually getting a jar of like 8 ounces or 10 ounces of peanut butter for the same $4.99. They're repackaging everything with smaller quantities in it, but charging you the same amount of money.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, that's actually, I don't have a big problem with that because, things are going to go up. And, we do have a problem with portions in this country.
But I'm saying like it's a way to create this false sense of like,
the price stayed the same when you're really not getting it.
Have you ever heard the message that someone left on the Jimmy Dean sausages complaint line?
No.
It's one of my favorite videos. It was someone leaked it of this guy complaining about the fact that they went from 16 to 12 ounces. And he was describing how that's a problem for him, and he was like, "Now I'm a Southern man. I like my breakfast. I like my steak and my eggs and my sausage. They got 5 people in the house, and 12 ounces just ain't gonna do it. We got 2 dozen eggs. We got a couple of T-bone steaks. We need 16 ounces of sausage." And it was just people being like, "Okay, 5 people, 24 eggs, 2 T-bone steaks." These people are going to die soon. This is a tremendous amount of protein these people are consuming.
But why don't they have 5 T-bone steaks if there's 5 people?
Well, you can't have he's had a couple. He might have had more. But, this is breakfast alone. He's already got 24 eggs. That's 5 eggs a person. That's 5 eggs a person.
You got to break some eggs to make an omelet.
And good point.
You got to get some heart disease to make an omelet.
He couldn't just buy a 12-ounce and, buy 2 of them and break a piece off. Anyway, it was just, I was amazed by that because people are fat as fuck. But
now, did you guys hear about a judge this week had
Kavanaugh?
No.
He's a rapist.
Yeah, I'm not talking about an allegedly rapey drug, but there's a judge that ordered that evidence can now be gathered in an emoluments case against Trump, which I think is kind of exciting.
The emoluments thing is so amazing that it's like Trump basically is thinking, I'm doing so many bad things, I don't even need to acknowledge how much money I'm making off this presidency, that I'm just openly letting people put money as favors into my hotels.
Yeah. I think that is if there's anything that takes him down, I think the clear-cut thing is going to be the emoluments because that's black and white. People can't argue. Like, people are going to argue.
They're going to say it doesn't matter. They're going to say it's nothing compared to all
But that's literally unconstitutional. Like, that is in the Constitution. You can't argue that. And especially, granted, I don't think Kavanaugh is going to be helpful in any way, shape, or form. But if he is such a Federalist, and then I believe that he's going to have to.
Oh, Kavanaugh, I do believe, is fully prepared to screw over Trump. I think Trump thinks that Kavanaugh is willing to hurt his career to help Trump, and I think Trump is delusional about that. I think Kavanaugh would have no problem throwing him under the bus the second it gives him an opportunity to prove he's not under Trump's thumb. Because I think everyone.
That's a valid point.
I think Trump thinks everyone's loyal to him because he's too dumb to really understand that you create an atmosphere where it's impossible to have loyalty. Everyone's turned on you. Look what Michael Cohen said today. If you want to get into that.
Yeah.
He said that blacks didn't vote for him because they're too stupid.
Yeah.
And by the way, that was one of the best quotes I've ever heard because it's just like, yeah, that's why. Only people who are stupid didn't vote for Donald Trump. And it reminds me of the fact that
Kanye was from like this Trump wagon.
Because he's real. Because it's starting to have an effect on when he's seeing that like everyone is against him and that this is a disgusting thing he's doing, and I'm sure his wife is horrified by it. But
I thought it was the Blexit thing that had him.
Well, you have to build it up because he wants approval. He's desperate for approval, and he's seen that he's lost it. And by the way, I read something funny about, how like everyone said, he kept saying, oh, they tried to make me take off my hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I found out from, background of what that was. He went around saying, everyone told me to take my hat off, and I didn't. They were bullying me. And then I found out no one actually went up to him and said, listen, Kanye, I don't think you should wear the hat. You know what actually happened? He was asking every single person, do you think I should wear the hat?
Oh.
Do you think I should wear this hat? Is it cool? Do you like the hat? I like the hat. Is it offending people? Is it a problem? And then everyone's like, yeah, kind of. I mean, I'm offended, but I mean, do what you want. And then he's like, you're bullying me, because he's a fucking lunatic.
Yeah. I don't know. He is obviously nuts, but like I'm curious about this Blexit shirt thing where, like, I guess what Candace Owens said that he was the one that designed it or something, and he's saying he didn't have anything to do with it.
Never believe anything Candace Owens says.
But I don't necessarily know that. I feel like he's such a
No, he might be. He's nuts and he wants attention, and this is the way he thinks he's going to get it. He talks about the hat like it's a Superman cape, and it's like, yeah, because you're just thrilled
right, but
by
wouldn't
the
he,
hatred.
Wouldn't he want to make his own Superman cape? Like, I don't know that I feel like neither one of them are great reporters of the truth. So, like, I don't know that I believe either one of them.
I wouldn't
I don't know
listen to a
that they
word
know
either.
what the truth is.
I would never listen to a word either of them said, because they have proven themselves to be extremely dishonest, unhinged people.
Yeah.
Who just want to fuck up the world with lies and hatred. So I don't give a shit.
It's working.
I mean, that's not all Kanye does. Kanye's a very talented musician who used to be really cool. And basically, as the piece pointed out, would rather be crazy than a good person. Because because it's ego. Because that, like, honestly, that was one of the best points I thought Pete made in that update, which was, the difference between them is, they're both mentally ill.
Right.
Pete's open about what he struggled with. The difference is Pete doesn't have this disgusting ego that makes him say, I'm perfect, and that's why I'm not going to take my meds. I'm not going to try to make myself better. I'm going to act like whatever I feel is right. And that's what's sick about Kanye. And narcissism can prevent you. Narcissism is a disease that cannot be cured because the disease is the lack of the ability to be cured, because you can't change something you refuse to acknowledge as real.
Right.
So I don't know. It's a very upsetting thing, and people keep acting like, you can't tell them to do this, you can't tell me this, and it's like, how about we stop for a second and say it's not about telling someone what to think. How about we actually talk about what they think, and talk about what is acceptable and unacceptable in terms of just pure morality, of ethics.
But who gets to decide that? That's what they come back with.
Well,
like,
that's relativism.
Who gets to decide who's right and what's ethics, and but meanwhile they're also on
human
the other
decency.
Well, but they're also on the other side saying, but not only are we going to decide that on the right, but we're actually going to legislate against or for what we believe to be ethically and morally.
That's the thing that I think is so strange about the right now, is that they keep trying to take this Christian high ground, and they're good church going Christians, they're God-fearing people, but then you just have basic tenets of Christianity, which is treat each other like you'd want to be treated yourself. Right. And also, like, we're all created in God's image. So if we're all created in God's image, then God is old, God is young, God is black, God is white, God is gay, God is trans.
But it's even beyond the religious aspect of it, because when you think about a lot of, their platform is about government not being involved, yet they very much want government legislating against things. But it's not in commerce. It's now, and I don't know what happened with separation of church and state.
Well, yeah.
Trump is a test to prove, were they full of shit? Trump was a test to prove, were evangelicals telling the truth when they said this is what their values are, or that were they just using this as an excuse to get what they wanted politically? And every single one that supported Trump proved that they were full of shit. He is a cartoon version of their devil. Yeah. And they embraced him to get something they wanted. That's how he's as much of a test as anything you could have dreamed up in a fifth grader's short story. When I was watching one of the Ted Cruz rallies, he has a guy who introduces him. I don't really know.
Does he look like he's melting in person as well?
I think he looks. I actually, one of the jokes I had that did not make it in was that I think it's unfair that he gets to run for office right after Halloween, because every rotting jack-o'-lantern looks exactly like one of his posters. Cruz was introduced by a guy. I didn't know who it is, and this is the most racist I felt in a while. It was a black man who I assumed was a preacher because he was a black guy who loved Ted Cruz in Texas, and I just thought, well, who else? Who else would be his surrogate? But no, I think he wasn't. He was just a guy who works with crews. And he said something I found extremely telling. He said, Donald Trump, we all know that he tweets too much and he says things that he shouldn't say that we're not comfortable with, but doesn't it feel good? Because that's what Christianity is all about, right? Doing things that you know are wrong, but they feel good. Is that basically what we were taught by Christ?
I know the church seems to agree
with
that.
Yeah.
Is that what
At
the
least
church
the priest
teaches?
did.
Do
The
things
priest
that feel
did.
good, even if you know they're wrong? Like, that they're getting a room full of people who think they're Christian to applaud that means a lot. It makes me sad because I did not.
I'm not a fan of organized religion for this
neither
very
am I,
reason.
but I did not think 2 years ago that the typical evangelical would be capable of getting in bed with this man. I had more respect for the evangelical community.
Why?
Even though I thought there was a lot of problems and I thought there was a lot of hypocrisy, I didn't think they were that hypocritical. I did not think that. I thought Donald Trump was too far, even.
I feel
for
like
that
a lot
world.
of. Oh God, I'm gonna get in trouble here, but I just feel like a lot of those evangelical churches are really just a way to not pay your taxes. Like,
I think it's a way to feel superior. I think it's a way to embrace authoritarianism.
But my
Well-
point is I feel like it's just kind of, built on precisely that, where they're not. I'm sorry, it's not like, oh, we're really great people and we want to really embrace our religion. I feel like it's actually been built on getting, making people, like, I don't know, just really always looking at other people's lives and telling them why they're wrong. And it's like, just
It's
mind your own
it's an
business.
authority thing.
Yeah,
It's
no.
embracing authoritarianism. It's embracing the idea
Supremacy.
that I can hold this over you. It's actually something.
Because that's not even what Jesus said, right? Jesus was the one who
Oh.
embraced, prostitutes and beggars and
They would
Yeah.
never actually run their lives according to Jesus because Jesus was very specific. That's why Jews, by and large, love Jesus the person. We love what Jesus said. We just don't like what all the people who claim to love Jesus do in his name because it usually doesn't line up. Jesus said, "You will go to hell if you die rich." Name one Republican who believes that. He said, rich people will not go to heaven. He was not ambiguous about it. That's what he believed. He believed that you had a responsibility to help the poorest of the most desperate people.
right.
It is amazing that people can consider themselves literal followers of, meaning that they take it literally.
Right.
It's like I think it was John Cleese who was saying that, like, oh, do you not take the Bible literally, evangelicals? Because this is certainly a contradiction against it.
Right.
It's like an a la carte menu. You get to pick what you want to
Yeah.
follow and listen and how you what you think it means.
There's no ambiguity.
Christianity has been used as a vessel, especially in this country, to push white supremacy for centuries. Like, I mean, even if you just take the missionaries and how the missionaries tried to convert Native Americans into Christianity and cut
Told
their
them they were-
hair, and
You're having sex wrong and you have to wear clothes.
was pushed to kind of alleviate the pains of being a slave. And like when poor communities, Christianity is pushed so that they can
But you don't need to be responsible for yourself either.
well it's partly of a class thing where like you have the church is of its own class, and then they can kind of dictate how others live. But then it's also separating, like, it's a divide and conquer.
Fucking Emperor
And it's
Constantine.
everything is contradictory.
Right.
It's like, to your point with the Catholic Church, if you go to mass but you don't, like, I've literally listened to priests say, if you don't give enough money, and I'm like, I'm
Tithes,
sorry,
yeah.
I'm sorry, what? Like, what if I don't have the money, but no, you're still supposed to. I mean, it's just,
What is
that's
it,
why
like 10% of your income, your annual income, or 15%,
I don't
depending
even
on
know
the
There
church?
was
they
a
do
time
that
in
anymore.
Christianity, there was a time in Catholicism, because I was an art history major, where churches were supposed to look like the houses of the poor. They were supposed to just be bare bones because why wouldn't they be? Then there was a time when they were on the outside really bare and on the inside really beautiful and expensive and decadent, because the idea was, you get it, like this world we're meant to, do the right thing, and then the reward is on the other world, in heaven, the riches.
Oh, I thought it was to hide the things they stole from Jews.
That's funny. And then, of course, it became bling. It just became come to this church because of how beautiful it is, and look at and dressing up priests and cardinals, like God's pimp, and just giving them rings and all this stuff. And it just became this weird thing of it was like, why are we?
There's a sketch.
Why are there all these jewels and gold being draped on our religious leaders in a religion that's built off the value of poverty?
Right.
It doesn't really make sense. And
I'm
I'm not trying to be this anti-religious kind of like.
But it's filled with contradiction.
I'm Jewish. I don't believe in anything, but I think that everyone has culture they should be proud of, except for I won't say who it is, but there's one what I'm talking about. That one culture I'm talking about. They really should be ashamed, but the rest of them, I think everyone should be happy with themselves. I mean, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to write it on my phone, and you're going to all agree with me. Anyway, I just feel like I was angry with the evangelical community because of their cozying up to Republicans during the Iraq War, when I thought that they were acting against what they believe. Because it's not about what they believe. It's the fact that you don't even really believe what you believe. You're just using this. That's offensive. And if you're an evangelical and you rejected Donald Trump, congratulations. You're one of the real ones.
Right.
And I know there's a lot of them. I know they're out there. But if you're an evangelical and you say, well, it's okay, you failed the fucking test.
Well, they were going to hell for sure.
If there is a hell, I would love to hear you explain why endorsing what Trump did to those children at the border means you should go to heaven. And I actually want to ask these people directly, are you 100% certain you're not going to go to hell for that?
Right. I don't even understand. And he wants to start taking more children now because of this caravan that's coming.
If he admits it was wrong, he loses. He needs to go more. He wants to fucking execute
double
these
downs
people.
on it. And that's the other thing. It's like, if they throw rocks, it's treat it like it's a rifle. I mean, and now there's also going to be there's militias like these right wing nut I don't know, doomsday prepper type of militias that are gathering money and arms to go to the border to quote unquote help and protect the border. How is this not going to turn into the new Waco?
This is so amazing to me because my family are immigrants, and my aunt, we were cleaning out her apartment. I found a letter that as refugees from the communist regime, they received from the president, welcoming them to this country, saying, we are so happy you are here. We are so happy we could help you. And it's just really, really...
Here's the thing.
Well, I mean, I know he didn't write it himself, if that's what you're about to say. But it's astonishing to me how vastly different.
He'd still be fine with you guys coming.
Yeah.
No,
you look like the kind of refugees Trump wants. He even specifically said, why aren't we getting more white refugees?
Well,
or immigrants, I mean.
But here's the thing. I understand that, but if we really think about it, communism was back in that day kind of, similar. I mean, we can make it about color, but my point being that communists were the enemy, and my family came from a communist country. Right. So.
Right. At that time, we wanted the people. We wanted them to defect to us.
That's what I'm saying. I find that fascinating.
Whereas we see Syrians as simply evil intrinsically by the look of their face. Now, is that a racial thing, or is that a different culture thing? I think it is racial.
Yeah, I think
personally.
It's racial.
But you're right. You're right. There are different. We used to have very different attitudes about immigrants, but at the same time, I remember, in art school, once again, looking at old, Thomas Nast, the political cartoonist.
Yeah.
He was very famous. He created Santa Claus. He's the person who created what we think of as Santa Claus, of the jolly guy with the red. He created that image. He also created the image of the Irish as animals, as apes. He would draw Irish people like apes, and he did a lot of things that you would consider offensive. But I do remember one cartoon. Now that I think about it, it probably wasn't Thomas Nast. Actually, it was one of his contemporaries who was probably disagreeing with him, and it was showing a fat guy with like a suit who was obviously doing very well, and he's telling people at Ellis Island to get back on the boat, and then his shadow was a starving immigrant, meaning he came here like this,
Right.
and now that he has it, he
Shit
sees
flows
everyone
down.
else as,
Yeah.
oh, I got what I
Punch
need,
down.
and there's no room for anyone else now because I got what I want.
Right.
And that's the
That's
attitude a lot of us
very
have.
common.
They turn it's the same thing that people said to Bill Cosby and O.J. Simpson when they got in trouble and they relied on the black community to help them. They said, "Well, you turned your back on." This is something it was a black civil rights leader. I forgot who it was, but said that like O.J. turned his back on the black community and never looked back until he needed them.
Well, I think that's also why people like I got a lot of the oh well, why is Melania not supporting like she's an immigrant, and I'm like, oh, that's not how that works, guys.
People who she married Donald Trump.
well, but not only that, but here's the thing, people who do go through the process are 100% going to be against what they consider to be illegal aliens or people living here or getting into the country illegally. Like they're not going to support it. They're not going to feel like I'm similar to somebody who's coming here illegally. They don't necessarily understand it's different.
And she's an anchor baby for her parents. Don't forget that. And not the literal term, but her parents came in through something that Trump wants to stop. He wants to stop people from being able to sponsor their relatives.
Isn't that what is it? The chain.
Well, chain migration is something else that was also exaggerated. People were pretending that one person was getting their entire extended family, and which wasn't true at all.
But that's basically what she did.
Yeah. But that wasn't her extended family. It was her immediate relatives. Yeah, it was her parents. So it was something that we usually had available to people. But yeah, Melania does care about immigrants, the ones she's related to.
And then I don't understand how she got in on an Einstein visa. Like what?
She's a genius, like Einstein.
Like exactly what is her skill other than dick sucking? I mean,
she
I don't know.
is
that's a little-
killing
okay.
it
Like,
on
that's a
Rosetta
bit-
Stone.
That's a bit much.
7
honestly, for me.
languages.
I don't want to. I'm not trying to slut shame the woman. There's
I-
plenty of things to attack her for besides.
Oh, I'm completely fine with slut shaming.
Because as you know, I've said in the past too, the last thing any of us should be doing is putting a negative connotation on sucking a dick. Anyone who does that should be applauded. They are making the world better. It's the ultimate paying
Are we
it
talking
forward.
about Rodney again?
Men or women?
No, this is his bit.
You're a good person for doing it, and I don't like the idea of us impugning it. I'm sorry. Go on.
That's fine.
I'm just saying. Let's not
Just know
say
that
things we
Dave
can't
will
take
give
back.
you a literal and figurative pat on the head as you're blowing
Thank
them.
you. Good. Very good. That's a good point. Well done.
Dream about that, audience.
So now we have a couple of minutes, but like this, by the time this comes on, the midterms would have happened.
Yes, we will have already lost the Senate and narrowly won the House, and nothing will change. I think that I think the Mueller investigation, when that concludes, will be a much bigger gauge of what's going to happen to Trump than the midterm elections. It's just a bad year for the Senate in general, which means it's going to be a very good year for the Senate the next time we have an election and things are going to be better. I don't want people to think that everything is hinging on winning the Senate, because it's not, and we're probably not going to. If we do, it's going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping that we win the House, to be honest. I don't know.
I don't think there's much chance we won't.
I'm not
honestly.
hopeful at all.
I think we win the House unless there's
Aren't
some...
we just a mixed bag?
I think if we
have
lose the
no
House,
hope.
I think looking at the way things are, I think
I'll
if we
be
lose the
drunk.
House, it might be something. We could lose the House just because we know the Russians are still trying to
Well, that's what I'm saying.
actively stop it. But
Yeah.
I
think
really
the
don't.
only way that we win is if Putin is trying to tell Trump he doesn't have to let him win.
Well, he's going to do that no matter what. Doesn't matter what Trump says. Putin wants what he wants, and I think that it remains to be seen. But I don't see us losing the House. I think we win the House, but it's not going to be enough. You can't impeach him without the Senate.
Win the House. Keep the kids.
Yeah, I think we only need 23 seats. I think we pick up more than that. I think also that there is an enthusiasm gap here. I don't see the Republican. Here's how I know the Republicans are in trouble. The biggest
Voter
story,
suppression?
Well, I think Republicans are in trouble because they keep talking about Kavanaugh being what's going to bring people out to the polls. And I think this Kavanaugh thing is kind of an act. I think all these people know that he tried to rape her, and they're all putting on an act and saying that she's a liar because they think they have to. But that's a very difficult thing to truly motivate someone with.
It's
don't
always
think
comes down
these
to economics.
I know some people are dumb enough to think that this is all made up. I really think the majority of people we see saying Brett Kavanaugh is telling the truth are thinking it was 30 years ago. She should have just shut up about it. I think that's what really is happening here.
I think we're also just very used to seeing white men like him being white men like him, and it doesn't bother us.
Well, we let
as
Clarence
much.
Thomas do it too, didn't we? So, men.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Men, if you're on the right side, oh look, no, if you're a Republican man, they'll let you do whatever, because they just want the numbers and because they want to have those few tokens to show that we're not all racist.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact
Just
that
behind closed doors.
that now we have two guys in the Supreme Court who have treated women like shit is kind of amazing, and that we're making a statement.
But look at our president.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know. People talk about the Democrats come in, they're gonna impeach Kavanaugh, and I'm like, oh heavens to Betsy, what a terrible thing that could happen. We should be impeaching fucking Clarence Thomas. We've let him spend 20 years not speaking on the court and just backing up whatever the right says after he was a disgusting pervert with Anita Hill, like a gross asshole pervert. Talking about long dong silver and tits in the office. What the fuck is wrong with you? It's one thing to be
Apparently
like, hey,
Dave hasn't worked with me.
it's one thing at a Christmas party to just hit on a woman and because you got drunk and you shouldn't have. That's not what he was doing. He wanted to humiliate Anita Hill.
Yeah.
That's so much worse than just being like, oh, you stepped over a line. You shouldn't have hit on this woman. You made her uncomfortable. No, you wanted to make her uncomfortable. This guy's a piece of shit. I don't understand.
That's probably what got him off.
Yeah. He gets
It wasn't
Of course.
porn. It wasn't the porn.
He wanted to see this woman, this respectable woman, this
Well,
button
what the
down.
hell was she doing being successful and respectable? Why
Yeah.
was she even there? She should have been in the kitchen.
I think he resented that this woman gave him nothing for the power he had over her. Gave him nothing, in terms of flirtation. Just like Kavanaugh was known for only wanting hot chicks in his office.
Yeah. It's always the ugly ones that think that everyone's supposed to be like fawning over their dick.
Hey, I'm right here. Yeah. No, well, they're because the ugly ones are the ones who attain success because they think, well, now they'll have to fuck me, and then when they don't, now they're really
Well, that's
upset.
Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, Harvey Weinstein was a hideous man who went into an industry in order to take advantage of women, and then forgot. And then over time was basically like, well, I guess I could just take it then. I guess, that's an example of a monster of his environment, I guess. It's almost like a fish that grew to the size of its bowl.
Right.
I mean, I don't know the background of it. I'm just saying, like, he's a good example of
Well, he's a garbage
how horrible a
person.
person you can get in the environment that allows this sort of thing to happen.
Good point.
Just like in
DC.
Silicon Valley, Google.
Right.
We had 20,000 people walk out of Google because of the treatment of women. Because it has become a huge boys' club in Silicon Valley.
And they were like giving people like $90 million payoffs because they're getting fired for sexual harassment.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got to get going.
Before we go, Beto or Ted Cruz?
What are you asking me?
Who do you think is going to win?
Ted Cruz. I love Beto, but I
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
don't think Texas is electing Beto. If they
He's
do,
adorable.
I'll be very happy if they do. I think he's a
They
good guy.
won't.
But I think the fact that he's come this far means a lot.
The devil you know.
I think he's done a lot of good things, and he's not over, and we're not over without his win.
Do you think that the Oprah effect is going to push Stacey Abrams over?
I like Stacey Abrams. I think she does have a good shot.
I think Stacey's going to win, and I think
Stacey
it's the
can
Oprah
win.
effect.
I think Gillum's going to win.
Because
I think-
Oprah's the white woman whisperer.
Yeah, I think this is a good year for women, I think. But anyway, we got to get going.
Okay.
You can check me out at Dave Cyrus, November 8th. I'll be doing the 10 o'clock show. I'll be doing stand-up or 9:30, whatever show. And then the 11 o'clock roast battle, I'll be the main event.
Mo, where can people follow you on social media?
At Mocha Vida, MOKAVIDA.
Follow our show on Twitter at The Blamestorm. Follow me on Twitter at Marissa Smith. And if you enjoy the show, please rate and review us on iTunes. We will talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.